Back now with our weather coverage this Saturday morning. A quick update on power outages for you. National Grid reports only 53 outages across Rhode Island. Most of those are concentrated in Portsmouth. In Massachusetts, 521 customers are without power. No outages reported yet in Bristol County, Mass. State officials urge you to contact your power company directly to report any outages. Do not call 911.
And just how much snow is already out there this morning? We'd like to hear from you this morning. Tweet us at ABC6 in the capital city. We are well covered, we can tell you that this morning. ABC6 News reporter Dominique Turner live in Providence this morning with the latest on those snow totals. And Dom, we're curious about those secondary roads this morning. What are you seeing out there? Good morning.
Casey, so right now these secondary roads truly don't look great. We do see plows kind of coming around, working on the highways, working on those main roads, but for now the secondary ones you should definitely stay off of. I'll give you an opportunity to kind of look behind me at this street here on Federal Hill. Looks like a nice flat surface, right? Well, look how deep it really is. I mean, that is a good few inches. I'll take out my handy dandy tape measure. My dad will be happy I'm putting some tools he gave me to use. Let's see. That is about 5 inches. So about 5 inches right now. It's not sure if this road has been plowed yet, hasn't been touched. Can't really tell, to be honest. But the heaviest of snowfall will come in between the early mid-afternoon into the early evening. So there's still more to come. So definitely stay off those roads. Governor McKee noting yesterday that they don't even have enough first responders to respond and send rescues to people stuck out on the roads. So leave it as simply as that. Stay off the roads, let us do the work, and give you the news from home. And we'll keep you updated on these snowfalls and how deep this accumulation is going to look within the next few minutes. So thank you for joining us. Casey Cantz will have more live in Providence. I'm Dominique Turner, ABC 6 News.
Dom, thank you. Crews are hard at work clearing the snow away this morning in Massachusetts. DOT reports more than 2,000 pieces of snow equipment are out on the roads this morning. Look at that. The only serious crash we've heard of so far was on 93 North up in Boston about 3 o'clock this morning.
And now, your ABC 6 Storm Tracker weather with meteorologist Chelsea Priest.
We certainly started to see that lighter snow coming in late yesterday, and now we have that widespread, steadier snow falling across the area. And a loop over the past 3 hours shows you that we have had some banding come through already. We're looking at some reports that have come in already this morning of a few inches in many locations. 3.3 in West Warwick, Barrington at 2 inches, New Bedford at 3.5, Taunton at 2 inches. We've got a report from Charlestown at about 4 inches, Acushnet at 3 inches. Now, this is still very light, fluffy snow for most of us. The farther east you go, you're getting into more of a pasty, wetter snow. There was a little bit of mixing at the onset of the precipitation. And what's going to happen with this as the day goes on is it's going to pile up very, very quickly. We have light, fluffy snow for many of us. And on the low end, we're talking about a foot of snow. Most of the area is seeing 1.5 to 2 feet of snow as the day goes on today. So we are just getting started out there this morning, and we're going to continue to see the snow piling up very quickly as the day goes on. There are some other concerns with this. It's not just a snowstorm. We have gusty winds that are already picking up. I have that map for you in just a second. That's going to create blowing, drifting snow, which is why we have the blizzard warning in place for all of us. What that also means is those snow drifts start to pile up. And you'll remember from storms in past years that depending on where your car is set up, where the house is set up, you may end up with feet of snow piled up in one area of the house, and then in another area it looks like there's not that much. That's what happens with this light fluffy snow and the snow drifts as the winds blow. That also may create some power outage concerns as we head through the day, especially for areas farthest to the east where the gustiest of winds happen. Some coastal flooding concerns for eastern Mass with the high tide cycle this morning and again this afternoon. Things have come in a little bit faster, and at first it looked like the worst of the winds would kind of happen during low tide, but this morning with some gusty winds already picking up, there's going to be some concerns there, especially for north-facing shorelines with that breeze from the north. Also, the wind from the north brings in dangerously cold temperatures. By this afternoon, feel like temps will be around 0, if not slightly below that, and that happens all night long. So while we're getting out trying to clean things up, it is going to be bitterly cold. The winds right now sustained coming in from the northeast with the nor'easter. You're talking about sustained winds already around 30 miles per hour in Providence, gusts to 40 miles per hour for Providence, 40 for Block Island, 46 for Falmouth, 44 for the Vineyard, 44 for Plymouth. We're looking at wind gusts, especially for farthest eastern Mass, forecast coming in over 60 miles per hour today. So again, the power outage risk highest for areas farthest to the east, but most of us end up in that 45 to 60 mile per hour range really through the bulk of the day today up until this evening before things start to wind down. Here's a loop over the past 6 hours. So we have had some steady snow falling for the past 6 hours. As I mentioned, there was a little mixing at times for areas farthest to the east, but at this point we are all seeing snow, and you're starting to see some of those snow bands set up where we're talking about the snowfall rates as we head through the morning hours and into the afternoon, the early afternoon at least, coming down 2 to 3 inches per hour. That piles up again very, very quickly. A much wider view shows you that that storm is just continuing to blanket snow across much of the northeast, and we're again pretty much just getting started. We have a long way to go with this. 6 a.m. you can see some of that banding on your futurecast. Other spots seeing some lighter snow. We continue to see the heavier snow building in over the course of the morning. 10 a.m. you can see pockets of very heavy snow falling, and that continues through lunchtime at least. Into the later part of the afternoon, this is 4 o'clock. Things are starting to wind down just a bit, but we still see lingering snow showers outside through the evening hours. It's not until midnight maybe that things turn off completely and we see sunshine as we head into tomorrow. Again, there is that blizzard warning in place, visibility concerns, drifting snow concerns, horrendous travel conditions as the day goes on, especially through the morning and afternoon hours with the heavy snow, the gustiest of winds. Visibility will be down to basically whiteout conditions. Things are starting to wind down a bit through the evening, and then by 10 p.m. just a few lingering snow showers out there. As I mentioned, there's also going to be some bitter cold. Wind chills down to 0 by 11 a.m. By this afternoon, hovering around 0 degrees, and by early tomorrow morning, wind chills significantly below 0 to start the day. So everyone, all the kids at least, excited to go out and maybe play in the snow. It is going to be brutally cold and very windy today. Today's the day to stay off the road, stay inside. Tomorrow maybe still very cold, but maybe less wind and a better opportunity to play out there in the snow. Doreen?
I feel like you were talking to my children specifically, Chelsea. I have told you they are dying to go play. All right, these guys are dying to play too, but they're going to have to wait till tomorrow. Today's PC game against Marquette has been moved to tomorrow at the Dunk. All tickets for the original 4:30 game today can be used for Sunday's game at 12:30. PC is ranked number 17 in the nation, Marquette number 22, so it's a really big matchup. The women's game scheduled for tomorrow morning at the Dunk has been moved to Alumni Hall at 7:30.
And Doreen, the Brown men's basketball game against Cornell has also been postponed today. It was supposed to be played tonight at 4 o'clock at the Pensacola Center. It will now be played tomorrow at 11 a.m. URI was already scheduled to be off, so no changes to the Rams schedule.
Well, it is now 6:22, and still to come here on this special edition of Good Morning Providence, we're going to get back out to our crews tracking the snow in Rhode Island, plus more on the services you can access today if you need shelter. We'll be right back.
6:25 right now. Welcome back to a special Saturday winter weather edition of Good Morning Providence. The American Red Cross is on standby this morning, ready to open shelters if necessary today. The decision to open shelters is left up to cities and towns, but the Red Cross did spend time yesterday getting supplies and personnel in place. Now, if a town requests to open a shelter, that request goes through the state's Emergency Operations Center, and then they're able to get up and running very quickly.
In this type of storm, really the best place to shelter, if possible, is in your own homes. Now, obviously, if there are widespread power outages where people are going to be affected with their heat and electricity, then that's going to be a trigger to when a shelter would be requested.
There is a Red Cross emergency app available if you want updates on storm services. There are warming shelters available in Massachusetts today. We'll highlight Fall River for you this morning. The warming shelter there open from 8 until 4 at Chrysler Rock Assembly of God Church. That's on Rock Street. The First Step Inn on Durfee Street is providing shelter for the homeless there.
And highlighting Central Falls in Rhode Island, Mayor Maria Rivera announcing a warming shelter will open at Foreign Manor on Washington Street. It'll be open from 9 this morning until 9 tonight. Masks are required. And remember, you can call that 211 number in either Massachusetts or Rhode Island if you're looking for non-emergency help. All right, let's get you over to Chelsea for a quick look at the latest here on these blizzard conditions out there.
Yeah, blizzard warning in place for the entire day today up until about midnight. Now by midnight, I think this is going to be winding down, but we are just getting into the thick of it now with some steadier snow bands starting to show up. And over the course of the morning, those heavier snow rates start to build in and become more widespread. From figure maybe 9 o'clock until 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon, you're talking about snowfall rates of 2 to 3 inches per hour at times. You can see by about 5 o'clock, things are slowly starting to wind down, and it's not until midnight that we really see the snow kind of turning off completely, and that's why we're looking at a minimum of a foot of snow. Most of the area picking up anywhere from 1 to 2 feet of snow when all is said and done. I'll have much more in the next half hour, guys.
Chels, thank you. Many Catholics are being excused from attending Mass this weekend. Providence Bishop Thomas Tobin tweeting yesterday that with dangerous weather and travel conditions, he is granting dispensation from the obligation for the weekend. He says Catholics are urged to stay home, stay safe, and spend some time in prayer.
In Doreen, in the Fall River Diocese, Bishop Edgar d'Acunha says Catholics should use good judgment when deciding whether to travel to Mass this weekend. The diocese says if roads are not cleared by tomorrow, the obligation to attend Mass does not apply because there would be grave difficulty in fulfilling it.
We will be right back. More live coverage of this winter storm. You're watching ABC 6. We'll be right back.
trusted news source, Good Morning Providence.
Now on Good Morning Providence, it's here. The major winter storm slamming southern New England. We take a live look outside. Right now you can see a very snowy city of Providence. This is from our Skycam HD. Thank you so much for joining us this Saturday morning. I'm Doreen Scanlon.
And I'm Casey Cantz. You know, Doreen, Chelsea called it the main event. I think that is a good way to put it. We're going to check in with Chelsea in just a little bit for a full look at what's going on right now, what we can expect throughout the rest of the day. Yeah,
but first we want to show you a tweet that just came in from Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee just a short time ago. The governor saying it here, the snow is here, Rhode Island. The best thing you can do today, stay off the roads and stay home. Let our DOT plows do their job.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Let's get right over to Storm Tracker meteorologist Chelsea Priest right now, live in the Weather Center. Chelsea, good morning to you.
Good morning, guys. Good morning to all of you. Yeah, we've had some lighter snow showers building in overnight, but the intensity is really starting to pick up. And it's the type of snow that it gets cleared away and it piles up just as quickly after you've cleared it away, because those intensity rates are going to continue to climb as the day goes on. This is going to be a tough one to keep up with, hence the travel ban, hence us telling you all week long, basically, to plan on being inside all day today. You're looking at some steady snow falling in spots this morning. I'm going to zoom in to the Providence area, just to the north and west of Providence. No shocker there. Some steadier snow falling in northwest Rhode Island at the moment, where we have one of those bands setting up. And this is what we'll be watching for today. Within some of these snow bands that become more intense and more widespread as the morning progresses, that's where we're looking at rates coming down of 2 or 3 inches per hour. And these totals are going to climb incredibly quickly. We do have a blizzard warning in place for the entire day until midnight. Now, by midnight, things will be winding down, certainly. But blizzard criteria, we're talking about visibility that's less than a quarter of a mile for at least 3 hours, and also those sustained or frequent gusts to 35 miles per hour for 3 hours. And it looks like many of us are going to meet that criteria as the day goes on. The winds are already coming in, gusting to 40 miles per hour in Providence, 40 for Block Island, Nantucket at a 47 mile per hour wind gust, 46 up in P-Town. You're looking at visibility that is down to less than a mile in so many locations outside already this morning. And again, we're really just starting to get into the steadier snow showers. It'll be within the next few hours that we pick up on the heaviest of snow falling across southern New England, and eventually many of us end up between 1.5 feet and 2 feet of snow when all is said and done. So a significant snow amount. Now, it's going to be kind of difficult to get some of those measurements today because of the blowing and drifting snow. We're going to have some really high snow drifts in spots where it looks like your car gets covered, and other times, depending where you live or how the house is set up and where you're getting those north or northeasterly winds, you end up with some lower amounts. But all in all, this is significant, major snow, and enough to plan to be off the roads all day today. I'll have much more in the next few minutes. Doreen?
I'll say thank you. And like you said, that wind is really pushing the snow around out there right now. You can see the flurries just looking outside your window, and that's tough for the plows to keep up with. ABC 6 News reporter Olivia DeRocha is live in Providence for us right now. Olivia, what are you seeing out there?
Good morning. Well, I'll tell you, it's definitely not warm out. Stay inside if you can. Seeing a lot of snow, and like Chelsea was talking about, that visibility is really not getting any better. If anything, it's getting worse. And I'll give you a look at kind of how strong these winds are. You know, even in some areas where it looks like there's not a lot of snow, you can see it's really blowing, because, you know, it's pretty deceiving here. You might think, okay, there's not a lot of snow outside if I look outside, but there's up to 6 inches on the road right now. Now, we've seen a ton of plows. I'll give you a look right now. This is on the 610 connector. I'm here in Providence. Plows heading on the roads. It doesn't mean the roads are great. You still need to stay off the roads. There are a few people doing those last minute things, and that is good, because at 8 o'clock, no one should be on the roads. That is from the governor's order to have that travel ban from 8 to at least 8 o'clock. Now, again, we'll be staying out here monitoring, but just keep in mind, again, stay off the roads if you can. The roads are not good, even with the plows out. That's not their fault. This is just taking into consideration how much accumulation we are going to see from this severe nor'easter. A few minutes ago, we saw someone spin out on the connector, having to snake their way up to keep from falling backwards and skirting backwards on the connector. Again, just one more reminder of how dangerous it is, and really just stay off the roads if you can, especially some of these secondary roads that some of the plows haven't even touched, and it might be a while until they make it out there. But for now, we're live in Providence. Olivia DeRocha, ABC 6 News.
Olivia, you can't say that enough. Actually, less than an hour and a half away now from that travel ban in the state of Rhode Island. I want to share more information, too, on that ban starting at 8 o'clock this morning. Governor McKee declaring a disaster emergency, banning travel between 8 this morning and 8 o'clock tonight. Anytime we have this kind of snow, we talk about, stay off the roads, stay off the roads. That's very, very true. But in this case, you have to stay off the roads. You literally have to. Tractor trailers already banned from state roads until midnight. That started at 6 o'clock this morning. It is an exception carved out for essential workers. As for how state police will handle this situation, here's Colonel Jim Manning.
We do understand that there are people who have to go on a highway in emergencies, specifically if there's doctors or nurses that need to get to there. They will be permitted to go, and if they are stopped, they will just advise the police officers that are stopping them of the nature of their work and where they're going.
And Colonel Manning says those that don't need to be out will get a summons. As for who will be permitted on the roadways after 8 o'clock this morning in Rhode Island, here's a brief list for you this morning. Healthcare and pharmacy workers, patients traveling for essential medical procedures, also homeless shelter workers, and those traveling to support critical service operations, including airport, gas and fuel delivery, grocery and hardware, things like that. We've got the full list up for you on our website, abc6.com. You can find it under the McKee State of Emergency story.
All Srta service is suspended today. There is no definite timeline on when it will be reinstated, just as soon as conditions are safe. There was a minor crash involving a Srta bus overnight. Thankfully, state police confirmed to ABC 6 News there were no passengers on board. One of the Srta buses was involved in a minor rear-end crash on the Route 10 South ramp to Elmwood Ave. State police say it was weather-related.
The Rhode Island congressional delegation, meantime, they are asking President Biden to promptly approve any requests for federal assistance. In a letter sent yesterday, the delegation asked the president to be on standby for a potential major disaster declaration should the state need it. Want to check in right now on how the storm is disrupting travel through the air over at TF Green Airport in Warwick. As of last check, 21 flights scheduled to depart TF Green through 2 p.m. today canceled. As for arrivals, one bird out of Dayton did touch down just after midnight, but 14 scheduled arrivals already canceled, again through 2 o'clock this afternoon. We, of course, will keep you updated on that situation throughout the morning. Switching gears to Massachusetts, Governor Charlie Baker stopping short of a travel ban, but of course encouraging residents to stay off the roads today as well. The Massachusetts National Guard is on standby and will mostly be stationed around eastern Massachusetts. That includes Bristol County. The governor says he's most concerned about help rescuing stranded drivers, but he did say the timing of this storm on a weekend does make a difference.
It will make the issue of dealing with that kind of snow slightly better than it would be if it was, on a Monday morning or Friday afternoon or something like that, where we have all learned a lot about how to do things from home that we 2 years ago wouldn't have thought about doing from home. I think that will help these guys deal with the fact that the snow will be falling practically as fast as they plow it away.
Governor Baker said he expects to update the Commonwealth midday tomorrow on how the power and transportation situation will impact services and businesses at the start of the work week on Monday. Massachusetts is following Rhode Island and banning tractor trailers from the highways. That restriction started at 6 o'clock this morning, runs through midnight. All road tests in Massachusetts also canceled today.
And a quick check on the rails this morning, just about the only way you might be able to get around. The MBTA commuter rail is running a regular weekend schedule, and if you get into Boston, you'll find regular service aside from a shuttle replacement on the D branch of the Green Line. And an update from the MBTA advising you to expect significant delays on the Middleborough-Lakeville line if you're riding out in southeastern Mass.
Amtrak is modifying its service because of the storm. All Acela service between Washington, D.C. and Boston is canceled. Same goes for Northeast Regional service between Boston and New York. That means all trains out of Providence to Boston are canceled and vice versa. There are a few cancellations tomorrow, too. It is about 20 minutes until 7 o'clock. Still to come on this special Saturday morning edition of Good Morning Providence. We're going to get you back outside and check in with ABC 6 News reporter Dominique Turner. She's tracking those snow totals. They're accumulating fast in Providence. We'll check in with her. Coming up, stay with us. And back to our weather coverage this morning at 6:43. Thanks for staying with us. Just how much snow is already out there this morning? We want to hear from you this morning. Tweet us at ABC6. We can tell you this, in the capital city this morning, we are well covered. ABC6 News reporter Dominique Turner live in Providence this morning with the latest on those snow totals out there. And it just continues to come down out there this morning. Dom, curious what the secondary roads are looking like this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Casey. Yeah, so these secondary roads still don't look great. We haven't seen a plow truck come by just yet to clear them. It is kind of misleading to see how much snow really has fallen due to the high winds. Now the winds are pushing the snow, causing those white out conditions, putting it all over the street, all over your cars. So definitely stay inside, stay off the roads. And as you can see here for roads, for example, this secondary road here on Spruce Street on Federal Hill looks pretty flat. When you jump in it, it is pretty deep and it goes for a while. It's not great out here just yet. And Colonel Manny with State Police did mention yesterday that anyone on the roads past that travel ban starting at 8 o'clock this morning will be fined. Governor McKee added to that, saying first responders don't even have enough personnel to send rescues out to help anyone who may have spun off or needs help out there on the roads. We're here kind of near 95 and have already seen FedEx trucks pulled over to the side, cars spinning out off of the Route 610 connector, and it does not look great out here. So just another reminder, starting at 8 o'clock this morning, there is a travel ban in effect. And here in Providence, in the capital city, there's been a parking ban starting this morning at 2 a.m. that is still in effect. Obviously, this is Federal Hill. Empty parking is not something that you see often. So keep those cars off the roads, stay inside, and stay safe. Reporting live in Providence, I'm Dominique Turner, ABC6 News.
All right, thank you. And looking out the windows in Bristol this morning, you might see something a little unusual. Town Administrator Stephen Contenti showing off that orange truck there. That is actually a converted trash packer truck that now helps the town's public works team clean up the snow and sand the roads. The backhoe you see on the left is brand new too. That will be out on the roads today as well.
And now, your ABC6 Storm Tracker weather with meteorologist Chelsea Priest.
Communities are going to take whatever they can get to help clear away the snow today because it's going to be coming down so fast, so heavy. It's the type of snow that you may do a little scoop by with the shovel and you turn around and it's covered once again. And that's going to be the case through this morning into the afternoon, really not winding down until later this afternoon, more so into the evening hours and then certainly overnight. There's already some bands starting to show up. There's this one little area of darker shading, shocker, in northwest Rhode Island where there may be snowfall rates coming down closer to 1 to 2 inches per hour. Now, again, the intensity of these bands will continue to pick up as the morning goes on. Within the next few hours, we get into the worst of the conditions. So we're just getting started out there, even though it's been snowing for a few hours now. Now, when all is said and done, much of the area looking at 1.5 feet to 2 feet of snow. Now, it's going to be difficult to get those measurements. We saw Dom out in Providence right now. I'm getting reports all over the place. I peeked out the back door here at our ABC6 studio, and you can see pavement in spots. And then in other spots, there's 3 or 4 inches that have accumulated. So it's going to be difficult to actually measure things today. You're going to see big snow drifts that look like they're 3 or 4 feet. You're going to see other areas in your yard, depending on how the house is set up and the direction that the wind is hitting it, that look a little bit less, because for most of us, it's a lighter, fluffy snow, and you look around and it's just blowing all over the place. Now, farther east, it has been a little bit more of a wet snow as we had temperatures a little bit warmer, so a little bit more pasty out that way. So a little bit of a different setup the farther east you go. But for the most part, a lot of us have that light, fluffy snow. There's other concerns with this storm. We have coastal flooding concerns. With the winds already picking up, we have a high tide this morning and again into the evening hours. This morning, especially with the gusty winds out of the north to the northeast, any northeast facing shorelines have some coastal flooding concerns. There's also the risk of power outages. It's already gusty this morning. The highest wind gusts will be for farthest eastern Mass, so that's where our highest risk of power outages is going to come into play. But I would say if you typically lose power whenever it's a little bit windy, that's a chance today. The one positive with this specific storm is that it's not, for the most part, the heavy wet snow weighing down branches, weighing down power lines. It's that lighter, fluffier snow, so we eliminate that factor for most of us. But again, the higher concerns for eastern Mass, where we have the heavier snow falling. Now, with the potential to lose power, it's going to be tough because we have some very, very cold temperatures today. Temps will be dropping as the day goes on, and those feel-like temperatures will be down below zero overnight. So hopefully things can get restored quickly. The breeze right now is from the north to the northeast. Typical nor'easter setting up out there. Those gusts coming in already around 40 miles per hour for many of us. Over 40, closer to 50 for Plymouth right now. That's why we're going to have that area highlighted through far eastern Mass of over 60 mile per hour wind gusts possible. Most of us picking up wind gusts in the 45 to 60 mile per hour range. So even without the heavy wet snow, these winds will be enough to take down some power lines, take down some branches that could lead to power outages. Okay, here's a loop over the past 6 hours. We've been dealing with at least some widespread snow for 6 hours now. It's picking up in intensity over the course of the morning. You can see those darker shadings filling in, and that will continue to happen in the coming hours through mid to late morning into at least the early afternoon before we slowly start to see this system pulling away. It is a rapidly intensifying system, bombogenesis, bombing out, which means it's becoming stronger and stronger very, very quickly. You'll hear that word a little bit in the coming day. Your futurecast shows you the steadier bands of snow becoming more widespread. This is 8 a.m. Darker shadings of blue indicating some very heavy snow. 10 a.m. Pockets of even heavier snow, 2-3 inches per hour. That continues through lunchtime into the early afternoon. By about 4 or 5 o'clock, things slowly, very slowly start to wind down, but we still have snow into the evening. It's not until overnight that we finally dry out and clear out. Blizzard warning in place until midnight tonight. It started at midnight, so 24 hours. Again, by midnight, these blizzard conditions will be winding down. But through this morning and into the afternoon hours, the heaviest of snow, the gustiest of winds, temperatures falling as the day goes on. Still at 10 p.m., a few snow showers lingering before we completely clear out. And as we do, these wind chills continue to drop by early tomorrow morning, down well below zero for our feel-like temperatures. So clean up. You're going to want to layer up and be prepared to be dealing with some very cold temperatures in the coming days on top of the incredible snowfall totals. Doreen?
It is 6:50 now, and when we come back, we're going to get back out to our crews, tracking the latest on the snow out there and more on the services that you can access today if you need some shelter. We'll be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. 7 minutes until 7 o'clock. It is a special Saturday winter weather edition of Good Morning Providence, and the American Red Cross is on standby, ready to open shelters if necessary today. That decision to open shelters is left up to cities and towns, but the Red Cross did spend some time yesterday getting supplies and personnel in place. Now, if a town requests to open a shelter, that request goes through the state's Emergency Operations Center, and then they're able to get up and running very quickly.
In this type of storm, really the best place to shelter, if possible, is in your own homes. Now, obviously, if there are widespread power outages where people are going to be affected with their heat and electricity, then that's going to be a trigger to when a shelter would be requested.
And there is also a Red Cross emergency app available if you want updates on storm services. There are warming shelters available in Massachusetts today. We're going to highlight Fall River for you this morning. The warming shelter there open from 8 until 4. That's at Christ the Rock Assembly of God Church on Rock Street. The First Step Inn on Durfee Street is also providing shelter for the homeless there.
And in Central Falls, Mayor Maria Rivera announcing a warming shelter will open at the Foreign Manor on Washington Street. It'll be open from 9 this morning until 9 tonight. Masks are required. And remember, you can call 211 in either Massachusetts or Rhode Island if you're looking for non-emergency help. And as you could have assumed, all state-run COVID testing and vaccination sites in Rhode Island are closed today. That includes the Saconaset Crossroad and the Rhode Island Convention Center. The CCRI Warwick site is set to reopen at 8 tomorrow morning. You should get a cancellation email with further instructions if you had an appointment. In Bristol County, Mass, New Bedford also canceling all testing and vaccine clinics today.
Well, today's Snow Poorly time for the folks over at PPAC. Today's showing of Jesus Christ Superstar is canceled. There were 2 shows actually scheduled. If you hold tickets for either, you'll get an automatic refund. PPAC says it regrets the disappointment this will cause, but safety first.
All right, let's get over to Chelsea for the latest on our forecast. Hi, Chelsea.
Hey guys, we're just starting to get into the thick of things right now. Starting to see some isolated snow bands show up, which drop heavier snow very quickly. And we'll continue to see that building in over the course of the next few hours. And really from mid-morning through mid-afternoon, we're talking about very intense snowfall rates coming down 2 to 3, maybe even 4 inches per hour. It's that light, fluffy snow, so it's blowing all over the place. It's the tough type of snow to really get some measurements underway. But we are going to eventually dry out overnight, and when all is said and done, 1.5 to 2 feet of snow for many. Guys?
All right, Chelsea, thank you. Well, again, many Catholics are being excused from attending Mass this weekend. Providence Bishop Thomas Tobin tweeting yesterday that with dangerous weather and travel conditions, he's granting dispensation from the obligation for the weekend. He says Catholics are urged to stay home, stay safe, and spend some time in prayer. And
in the Fall River Diocese, Doreen, Bishop Edgar DeCunha says Catholics should use good judgment when deciding whether to travel to Mass this weekend. The diocese says if roads are not cleared by tomorrow, the obligation to attend Mass does not apply, because there would be grave difficulty in fulfilling it.
All right, we will be right back. We have another hour of our live storm coverage this morning. You are watching ABC 6. We'll be right back.
trusted news source, Good Morning Providence.
Good morning, Providence. It's here, a major winter storm slamming southern New England. This is a live look outside right now. Very snowy city of Providence with our sky cam. That picture has been changing dramatically. Every time we look at it, that visibility goes down a little bit more, Casey. Thanks everybody for joining us for this Saturday edition of Good Morning Providence. I'm Doreen Scanlon.
And I'm Casey Cans. Into the thick of it, as Chelsea said earlier. She is in the Weather Center this morning. She's standing by with all the important details on this forecast. We'll get those updates from her just a little bit. As we come on the air with you this morning, very little time until Governor McKee's executive order banning travel in the state goes into effect. It's going to start in less than an hour, 8 a.m. this morning. You see the sign right there on 195 last night, reminding residents. All right, let's get you over to Storm Tracker meteorologist Chelsea Priest. She has been busy. She's live in the Weather Center right now. Chelsea, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Good morning to all of you. Busy all week. We've been talking about this storm coming basically all week long. We've given you a lot of heads up to stay inside today, and that is still the case. We are just now getting into the thick of things, and that is going to continue to progress in the coming hours where we see worsening conditions. We've seen snow falling very lightly for a while now. At this point, we're starting to see some steadier bands moving into the area, and within some of these bands, I zoom in just to center in over Providence. You can see some of the darker shading on the radar showing up in the northwest corner of Rhode Island, and then just off to our east through Taunton, through New Bedford right now, getting into some of the steadier snowfall. And this is nothing compared to what we'll be seeing in the coming hours as those snowfall rates continue to climb 2 to 3 inches per hour coming down. Now, for most of us, it is a light, fluffy snow, and that means it's blowing around a lot. And that comes into play when we talk about the blizzard warning. There is a blizzard warning in place for all of us. We have visibility concerns for less than a quarter mile for at least 3 hours, and also sustained winds or frequent gusts of 35 miles per hour plus for 3 hours or more. That creates blowing, drifting snow. You're going to end up with big snow drifts at parts of your house, and then other spots where it doesn't look like it's as much. Those wind gusts right now are coming in well over 30 miles per hour. Nantucket with a 51 mile per hour wind gust right now, 49 for Martha's Vineyard, 53 for Falmouth. Those are the areas that are going to see the gustiest of winds as the day progresses, and visibility down to less than a mile for almost all of us at the moment. 1 mile in Westerly. The rest of us, though, between half a mile and 3/4 of a mile, quarter mile visibility in Taunton. When all is said and done, 1.5 to 2 feet of snow for many locations on the low end for areas farthest to the west. The lowest number, 12 inches. So even that is a foot of snow. We were talking about a horrendous day to be on the roads. I'm going to have a full breakdown of the exact timeline of what to expect today and tonight coming up in just a few minutes. Doreen?
All right, Chelsea, thank you. It is important to remind everybody of some of the services out there that are available to you should you need some help today. And the United Way of Rhode Island wanted to remind everybody about 211. It is a 24-hour social service call center that's available to anyone who may need help or assistance during the storm. So if you need help with shelter or maybe food, or you want to know anything about any of the restrictions that are in place, you can call 211. They are available to help you if you need to know anything more. Here's United Way President Courtney Nicolato with more on that.
211 has been at the forefront of the COVID response since the day before we announced our first case of COVID here in the state of Rhode Island. And so there are many tools in the 211 toolbox that we have that we could be of service to our state. And so our team is staffing up and getting ready. We have a disaster volunteer corps and a crisis volunteer corps that is at the ready and trained as well. So there is no question we are ready for whatever Mother Nature throws our way.
Well, and United Way reminds you, these calls, they are 100% confidential. You could also call 211 on behalf of someone else if you feel that they might need assistance. The 211 number works for non-emergency storm help in Massachusetts as well.
7:04 right now. I want to share more information on that travel ban. Talking a lot about it this morning because it's very, very important. Gets underway at 8 o'clock this morning in Rhode Island. The governor declaring a disaster emergency, banning travel between 8 this morning and 8 o'clock tonight. Tractor trailers already banned from state roads until midnight. That started at 6 a.m. this morning. An exception is carved out for essential workers. As for how state police are going to handle this situation, here's Colonel Jim Manning.
We do understand that there are people who have to go on highway in emergencies, specifically if there's doctors or nurses that need to get to there. They will be permitted to go, and if they are stopped, they will just advise the police officers that are stopping them of the nature of their work and where they're going.
Yeah, Colonel Manny says those that don't need to be out will get a summons.
Suspended today. There is no definite timeline on when it will be reinstated, just as soon as conditions are safe, likely. There was a minor crash involving a RIPTA bus overnight. Thankfully, state police confirmed to ABC6 there were no passengers on board. One of the RIPTA buses was involved in a minor rear-end crash on the Route 10 South ramp to Elmwood Ave. State police say it was weather-related.
As for who will be permitted on the roadways after 8 o'clock this morning in Rhode Island, there's a brief list for you. Healthcare and pharmacy workers, also patients traveling for essential medical procedures, homeless shelter workers, and also those traveling to support critical service operations. We're talking airport gas, fuel delivery, grocery, hardware, that kind of stuff. The full list is up on our website, abc6.com. You can find it under the McKee State of Emergency story.
Even though grocery store workers are on that essential travel list, Dave's Marketplace is closing its doors today. All locations are closed and will be scheduled to reopen after 10 a.m. tomorrow. Dave says stay tuned to the company Facebook page for any further updates.
The Rhode Island congressional delegation asking President Biden to promptly approve any requests for federal assistance. In a letter sent yesterday, the delegation asked the president to be on standby for a potential major disaster declaration should the state need it. Want to check in right now on how the storm is disrupting travel through the air over at TF Green Airport in Warwick. As of last check, 33 flights scheduled to depart TF Green through 2 p.m. today are canceled. So those numbers have gone up just a little bit since the last time we told you about it. As for arrivals, one bird out of Dayton did touch down just after midnight, but 26 scheduled arrivals are already canceled again through 5 tonight. We're going to keep you updated on that situation throughout the morning.
And sticking with that theme, you won't be riding away on the Block Island Ferry today. All service is suspended because of the storm. It's expected to resume Sunday if travel conditions are safe. You're asked to contact the ferry service by email, not phone, if you need to change your reservation today. The same goes for the Steamship Authority in Massachusetts. All trips canceled today.
And switching gears to Massachusetts, Governor Baker stopping short of a travel ban, but of course encouraging residents still to stay off the roads today. The Massachusetts National Guard is on standby and will mostly be stationed around eastern Massachusetts, which includes Bristol County. The governor says he's most concerned about help rescuing stranded drivers, but the timing of the storm, he also mentioned that on a weekend, he says, makes a difference.
It will make the issue of dealing with that kind of snow slightly better than it would be if it was, on a Monday morning or Friday afternoon or something like that, where we have all learned a lot about how to do things from home that we 2 years ago wouldn't have thought about doing from home. I think that will help these guys deal with the fact that the snow will be falling practically as fast as they plow it away.
Certainly true. The governor said he expects to update the Commonwealth midday tomorrow on how the power and transportation situation will impact services and businesses at the start of the work week on Monday. Massachusetts is following Rhode Island and banning tractor trailers from the highways. That restriction started at 6 o'clock this morning, runs through midnight. All road tests in Massachusetts also canceled today.
And a heads up for those of you in southeastern Mass, Srta bus service is suspended today. A regular service is expected to resume Monday. Srta says it made that decision for the safety of customers and drivers. And a quick check on the rails this morning, just about the only way you might be able to get around. The MBTA commuter rail is running on a regular weekend schedule. We'll keep you posted on any cancellations that come down during the newscast. And if you do get into Boston, you'll find regular service aside from a shuttle replacement on the D branch of the Green Line. And an update from the MBTA, they're advising you to expect significant delays on the Middleborough-Lakeville line if you are riding out in southeastern Mass.
Amtrak is modifying its service because of the storm. All Acela service between Washington, D.C. and Boston is canceled. Same goes for Northeast Regional service between Boston and New York. That means all trains out of Providence to Boston are canceled and vice versa. There are a few cancellations tomorrow as well. 9 minutes after 7 o'clock, still to come on a very special Saturday morning edition of Good Morning Providence. We're going to check back in on those conditions outside. Stay with us. Welcome back to our weather coverage this morning, so 7:12 on your Saturday morning, and we're going to take a live look this morning at the 610 connector as we starting to brighten up just a little bit out there this morning. But you can see that's snowfall. It is coming down quickly, but you see the coverage too that we've already got here this morning at 7:12, just about 7:13, and it's going to keep coming. This is going to be the prime time for it in the next few hours. So we'll get a check with Chelsea in just a little bit on that.
Yeah, and crews, they are hard at work clearing away the snow this morning, trying to get it cleaned up just as fast as it's falling, right? Over in Massachusetts, the DOT reports that there are more than 2,600 pieces of snow equipment out on the roads right now this morning. The only serious crash that we've heard of so far, that was at 93 North up in Boston about 3 o'clock this morning. And in Rhode Island, check out this vehicle. It's something of a combo vehicle. It'll be on the roads in Bristol this morning. The town administrator, Stephen Contenti, showing off the orange truck there on the right. That is actually a converted trash packer truck that now helps the town's public works team clean up the snow and sand the roads. And the backhoe that you can see there on the left, well, that's brand new too. And that'll be on the roads today as well. Need everything we can throw at this storm, right? Well, in sports, you might already know, but today's PC game against Marquette has been moved till tomorrow at the Dunk. All tickets for the original 4:30 game today can be used for Sunday's game at 12:30. PC is ranked number 17 in the nation. Marquette is number 22, so this is a big matchup. The women's game scheduled tomorrow morning at the Dunk has been moved to Alumni Hall at 7:30.
Yeah, Doreen, the Brown men's basketball game against Cornell also been postponed today. It was supposed to be played tonight at 4 o'clock at the Pizzatola Center. It will now be played tomorrow at 11 a.m. URI was already scheduled to be off, so no changes to the Rams schedule. Bryant's game scheduled for today at 2. Also moved to tomorrow, now at 1.
And now, your ABC 6 Storm Tracker weather with meteorologist Chelsea Priest.
Church, it looks so snow covered at the moment. It's such a pretty shot early this morning. Obviously, we're getting into the thick of things as we head into the coming hours. Right now, many locations already have 3, 4, 5 inches of snow on the ground, especially where some of these snow bands have already set up very early this morning. You can see in northwest Rhode Island some of the steadier snow falling through much of southeastern Mass. Steady snow falling, and there's this area down just to the south of the vineyard that we'll be watching as it spins in of some snowfall rates too. Up to 3 inches per hour as we head through the day today. Zooming in over Providence, some lighter flakes at the moment. And it's really clear to see when we zoom in where some of those heavier snow bands are coming down. Now, it's also very windy. Snow is blowing around. It's drifting. You're going to end up with spots at your house where you may have 3 or 4 feet of snow in some spots, and then other spots look like there's about a foot of snow. So we're going to do our best to get you some measurements coming in as the day goes on. When all is said and done, we're talking about 1.5 to 2 feet in many locations. Some spots a little bit lower than that, especially farther to the west. But right now, already 5 inches in North Kingstown, 5 inches in Tiverton, West Warwick, 5.5 inches. TF Green Airport already has 3.6 inches. The record for a one-day snow event at TF Green Airport is 18.3 inches. We're going to be close to breaking that outside later today. That happened back in 1961. The forecast for today, again, 1.5 to 2 feet in many locations to the east. Areas farther to the west, 1 foot to 1.5 feet in those locations. So the farther west you go, you had to put a little bit less. There may be some slightly lower totals for areas farthest out towards the Cape and Nantucket. That's where we had a little mixing early this morning. There are other concerns there, especially for areas farthest to the east. Coastal flooding concerns. Any northeasterly facing coastlines, we have those winds already picking up. And we have a high tide this morning, so some splashover, some coastal flooding expected in those locations especially. Power outage risk even higher for far eastern Mass as the gustiest of winds expected out that way. On top of the snow, on top of the wind, we have bitter cold that's settling in today. Temperatures drop as the day goes on this afternoon. Actual temps in the teens. By tomorrow morning, we have feel-like temperatures down well below 0. So as you're heading up to get things cleaned up, as you're heading out, the kids, everybody wants to go out and play in big snow. It is going to be bitterly cold. It is going to be windy, and tomorrow stays breezy and chilly too. Breeze right now, sustained 15 to 25 miles per hour in most locations. A sustained wind, though, for Falmouth at 40 miles per hour at the moment, and gusts into far eastern Mass coming in already well over 50 miles per hour. And again, we're going to focus in for areas farthest to the east for those gusts to come in well over 60 miles per hour at times. The rest of us in a 45 to 60 mile per hour range for wind gusts. That's enough to bring down some branches or power lines. So power outages are a concern, but certainly much higher for areas farthest to the east, especially where we've seen a little bit of that heavier, wetter snow or some mixing to start. At this point, though, Loop, over the past 6 hours, we've seen widespread snow for most of us. It's been very, very light in the early morning hours. Now you're seeing the intensity picking up, and that will continue to happen as the morning goes on, as the storm continues to intensify and continues to move closer, eventually passing up to our north and east as the day goes on. But it's going to take a while. We're talking about a long duration event here. Over your futurecast, you continue to see heavier snow bands building in as the day goes on. 10 a.m. pockets of some very, very heavy snow falling. That continues through at least the early afternoon. By 4 or 5 o'clock, you're going to start to see the intensity backing down, but it's still snowing into the evening. It's not until about midnight that we completely shut things off and we get into some sunshine tomorrow. So all in all, this ends up being a 24-hour period that we have the chance of some snow falling. The blizzard warning remains in place until midnight. At that point, the risk of blizzard conditions is much, much lower. I would say by mid to late afternoon for most of us, the risk of actual blizzard conditions where we're talking about visibility and wind concerns starts to lower. Again, temperatures dropping as the day goes on. Your worst of the conditions basically during the daylight hours. And then from there, as we clear out, temperatures drop by 4 o'clock this afternoon. Wind chills around 0 by early tomorrow morning. Wind chills well below 0. So again, if you are getting out to do some cleaning, it's going to be a tough one to clean up as well. You do a path with the shovel, the snow fills in right behind you with those windy conditions and the snowfall rates. But bundle up out there as you do head out to do some cleaning today. And again, just stay home today, guys.
All good words of advice. Chelsea, thank you so much. We have a lot more still to come for you as we continue this special edition of Good Morning Providence. We're going to take another live look outside this morning. Here you see it with our Skycam. Southern New England under a blizzard warning. We'll be right back in just a moment.
All righty, welcome back to a special Saturday winter weather edition of Good Morning Providence. Thanks for staying with us at 7:22 right now. The American Red Cross is on standby this morning, ready to open shelters if necessary today. The decision to open shelters is left up to cities and towns, but the Red Cross did spend some time yesterday getting supplies and personnel in place. Now, if a town requests to open a shelter, that request goes through the state's Emergency Operations Center, and then they're able to get up and running very quickly.
In this type of storm, really the best place to shelter, if possible, is in your own homes. Now, obviously, if there are widespread power outages where people are going to be affected with their heat and electricity, then that's going to be a trigger to when a shelter would be requested.
And there is a Red Cross emergency app that is available if you want updates on storm services. There's warming shelters, too, available in Massachusetts today. We're going to highlight Fall River for you this morning. The warming shelter there is open from 8 a.m. until 4. That's at Christ the Rock Assembly of God Church on Rock Street. The First Step Inn on Durfee Street is providing shelter for the homeless there.
In Central Falls, Mayor Maria Rivera announcing a warming shelter will open at the Foreign Manor on Washington Street. That'll be open from 9 this morning until 9 tonight. Masks are required. And remember, you can call that 211 number in both Massachusetts and Rhode Island if you're looking for some non-emergency help. And as you could have assumed, all state-run COVID testing and vaccination sites in Rhode Island are closed today. That includes the Saconaset Cross Road and Rhode Island Convention Center. The CCRI Warwick site is set to reopen at 8 tomorrow morning. You should get a cancellation email with further instructions if you had an appointment. And in Bristol County, Mass, New Bedford also canceled all testing and vaccine clinics today.
Yeah, today's snow poorly timed for the folks over at PPAC. Today's showing of Jesus Christ Superstar is canceled. There were 2 shows actually scheduled. If you hold tickets for either, you'll get an automatic refund. PPAC says it regrets the disappointment this will cause, but safety first.
And many Catholics are being excused from attending Mass this weekend. Providence Bishop Thomas Tobin tweeting yesterday that with dangerous weather and travel conditions, he's granting dispensation from the obligation for the weekend. He says Catholics are urged to stay home, stay safe, and spend some time in prayer.
And in the Fall River Diocese, Doreen, Bishop Edgar DeCunha says Catholics should use good judgment when deciding whether to travel to Mass this weekend. The diocese says if roads are not clear by tomorrow, the obligation to attend Mass does not apply because there would be grave difficulty in fulfilling it.
All right, let's get another check of our forecast this morning. Chelsea, we are really seeing things starting to deteriorate out there as that wind really is kicking things up.
Oh yeah, the wind's blowing everything around. As promised though, I do have the church sky cam shot. It's gonna stay up for a second so I can share it with you because it kind of looks like a snow globe over Providence right now. But as we know, things are going to continue to go downhill from here. We're getting into some steadier bands and spots early this morning, and we're already seeing 3, 4, 5 inches of snow on the ground in some locations. That being said, things are blowing around a lot. It's gonna be tough to get some accurate measurements as the day goes on. But when all is said and done, we're talking about anywhere from a foot to 2 feet of snow accumulating across the area. On your futurecast, you'll see heavier bands, those darker shades of blues and purples filling in as the morning progresses within the next few hours. At times, you'll get some really heavy snow falling. We're talking about 2 to 3 inches per hour, if not even slightly higher than that. So that snow comes down fast and heavy. That continues through the middle part of the morning, through the early afternoon. And then by late afternoon, you're going to start to see things slowly winding down. We still have some scattered snow showers around as you head into the later part of this evening. Really not until midnight do things completely wind down. Again, anywhere from a foot to 2 feet of snow across southern New England when all is said and done. You're looking out this morning, waking up, seeing a fresh coat of snow out there, and just knowing that this is just the start. So be prepared. We've talked about it all week. Stay home today. Stay off the roads today. You may even want to wait a little bit to clean things up because it's just going to be coming down so fast, so heavy. Again, I've been talking about it all morning. You do one swipe with the shovel and things cover in right behind you with windy conditions. On top of the heavy snow, on top of the very gusty winds, it is bitterly cold. Those temperatures dropping today, so bundle up if you are going out to clean things up. Tomorrow will clear out, but it stays breezy and cold. We're going to have much more coming up in the next half hour.
Southern New England's trusted news source, Good Morning Providence.
Right now on Good Morning Providence, it is here and it has been coming down fast and furious. A major winter storm slamming southern New England. We take a live look out here right now, a very snowy view of the city of Providence with our Skycam HD. That visibility creeping lower and lower as this morning goes on. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for this special Saturday edition. I'm Doreen Scanlon.
And I'm Casey Cantz. We said that shot would look a little bit different yesterday
Certainly
morning.
does.
And it certainly does this morning. Chelsea's in the Weather Center. She's standing by with all of the important forecast information that you're going to need today. And let's get right to her. And when we talk about important information, stay off the roads is where we're going to start. But Chelsea, how are we looking out there right now?
Yeah, that's the number one thing. And we've given you a few days heads up on that to stay off the roads. Plan on being home from start to finish today. There's some steadier snow starting to fill in. We started, or maybe you went to bed last night. There was some light snow falling, but it's really been in the last hour or two that we started to see some of these bands showing up. And just to know that this is just the start of some of the heavier bands moving in as the day goes on and the heavier snowfall rates as the day goes on, you just know we're really in for it because it's only 7:30 in the morning and things don't wind down until really later on in this evening. What you're looking at as I zoom in over the Cape, over Martha's Vineyard, over Nantucket, you see that band of some dark blue or dark purple, however it's showing up on your screen, but you can clearly see a darker band there. And that's where we're talking about snowfall rates that are going to come down very fast, very heavy. Snow piles up fast, and that's continuing to rotate into inland locations in the next couple of hours. What you're looking at in northwest Rhode Island, some heavier snow falling. In downtown Providence right now, lighter shading, so some lighter flurries and lighter snow showers. And this is how the day plays out. At times you get some really, really heavy snow falling. At times you may get brief breaks, but it's in those bands that we pick up 2-3 inches per hour, and that snow piles up so quickly. Blizzard warning in place until midnight. By midnight, the blizzard risk is much lower. Things are winding down. I wouldn't be surprised if that gets canceled a little bit earlier, but right now we're talking about an extended period of visibility less than 1/4 of a mile for at least 3 hours and sustained winds or frequent gusts for 35 miles per hour for 3 hours or more. That creates the blowing, drifting snow, near whiteout conditions at times. We've already had wind gusts coming in over 35 miles per hour for quite some time now. 41 in Providence, 43 for Block Island, 49 for Martha's Vineyard, 54 for Nantucket, 54 in Hyannis. Again, the eastern Mass coastline going to be the highest wind gusts when all is said and done. Many of us, almost all of us, have visibility less than a mile at the moment. Visibility in Westerly sitting right at 1 mile. And we are looking at, again, that snow just continuing to pile up. Anywhere from 1 foot to 2 feet of snow when all is said and done. Those highest totals showing up for that area highlighted in 18 to 24 inches. I'll have much more in just a few minutes. Doreen?
And from Governor McKee, this was a little earlier this morning. The governor says the snow is here, Rhode Island. The best thing you can do today is stay off the roads and stay home. Let our DOT crews do their job, or plows do their job. And of course, he did declare that state of emergency yesterday, deploying 150 plus state plow trucks out there, as well as 350 private plow vendors. They are using some 75,000 tons of salt. They did a lot of pre-treating yesterday. So we will continue to update you on that. We also want to take a moment and remind you about the United Way of Rhode Island and their 211 24-hour social service call center. It is available to anyone who might need some assistance during the storm today. If you need help with shelter or food, if you need to know anything about something going on in your area, 211 is able to help you out with all of that and more. Here is United Way's President Courtney Nicolato.
211 has been at the forefront of the COVID response since the day before we announced our first case of COVID here in the state of Rhode Island. And so there are many tools in the 211 toolbox that we have that we could be of service to our state. And so our team is staffing up and getting ready. We have a disaster volunteer corps and a crisis volunteer corps that is at the ready and trained as well. So there is no question we are ready for whatever Mother Nature throws our way.
And United Way reminds you, too, that these calls are 100% confidential. You can also call 211 on behalf of someone else if you feel that they might need assistance. The 211 number works for non-emergency storm help in Massachusetts as well.
I want to share some more information, too, on that travel ban. Starting at 8 o'clock this morning, less than a half hour from now in Rhode Island, Governor McKee declaring a disaster emergency, banning travel between 8 this morning and 8 o'clock tonight. Now, Tractor trailers already banned from state roads until midnight. That started at 6 o'clock this morning. An exception is carved out for essential workers. As for how state police are going to handle this situation, here's Colonel Jim Manny on that.
We do understand that there are people who have to go on a highway in emergencies, specifically if there's doctors or nurses that need to get to there. They will be permitted to go, and if they are stopped, they will just advise the police officers that are stopping them of the nature of their work and where they're going.
And Colonel Manny says those that don't need to be out will get a summons. As for who will be permitted on the roadways after 8 o'clock this morning in Rhode Island, here's a brief list for you. Healthcare and pharmacy workers, patients traveling for essential medical procedures, homeless shelter workers, and also those traveling to support critical service operations, including airport, gas, fuel delivery, grocery, and hardware. The full list is up on our website, abc6.com. That's under the McKee State of Emergency story.
To service is suspended today. No timeline on when it'll be reinstated. As soon as conditions are safe, they'll do so. There was a minor crash involving a Srta bus overnight. Thankfully, state police confirming to ABC 6 News there were no passengers on board. One of the Srta buses was involved in a minor rear-end crash on the Route 10 South ramp to Elmwood Ave. State police say it was weather-related.
And the Rhode Island congressional delegation asking President Biden to promptly approve any request for federal assistance. In a letter sent yesterday, the delegation asked the president to be on standby for a potential major disaster declaration should the state need it.
And the wind is really pushing the snow around out there right now. When you look outside your window, you can just see those flurries, and that is making it tough for the plows to keep up with the roads. The snow falling faster than they can keep up with it. Olivia DeRocha is live for us in Providence with a look at the situation. Hi, Olivia.
Guys, I have to tell you, I'm not really good at math, but if I had to guess, it seems like it's gotten 100% worse out here from the last time we talked. The wind, like Chelsea has been saying, has picked up so much. It's really blowing the snow that's on the ground to other places. So we're seeing plows come down, but just because they were there a few minutes ago, it's almost like they're re-plowing a street all over again because that snow is getting picked up and carried with this severe wind. Now, I'll give you a look at the highway. We're at the 610 connector right now. Visibility has really dropped. Just one more reason out of hundreds we can think of why you really should stay off the road. And like Casey and Doreen have been saying all morning, we're honing in on that 8 o'clock time when everyone in Rhode Island is supposed to be off the road. So if you have anything you need to do, I guess in these last 20 minutes, do it now. But there is a reason why officials are telling everyone to stay off the road. It's really not safe. Even with all of these plows, hundreds of plows supplied by the state and private contractors, it still is so hard for them to keep up. 75,000 pounds of salt put and distributed by the state the other day, but it's still, again, it just doesn't mean that it's safe out. Again, we're honing in on that time where everyone needs to be off the road. We're going to be out here doing our job to keep you safe, so you just do that job, stay in bed, drink your hot chocolate. And I want to give a big shout out to our photographer, Merrill. He's really being a trooper in all of this weather, and we couldn't do this without him. So there are people behind the scenes that's making it possible so we can bring you these conditions out here. But for now, we're live in Providence. Olivia DeRocha, ABC 6 News.
I'd like to get a shot of Merrill right now, see what he looks like. Yeah, thanks, Liv. Appreciate that. That travel ban going into effect in about 20 minutes from now. In Massachusetts, the governor there is stopping short of a travel ban, but of course still encouraging residents to stay off the roads today. The Massachusetts National Guard is on standby and will mostly be stationed around eastern Massachusetts, which includes Bristol County. Governor Baker says he's most concerned about help rescuing stranded drivers, but the timing of this storm, he also mentioned that on a weekend, does make a difference.
It will make the issue of dealing with that kind of snow slightly better than it would be if it was, on a Monday morning or Friday afternoon or something like that, where we have all learned a lot about how to do things from home that we 2 years ago wouldn't have thought about doing from home. I think that will help these guys deal with the fact that the snow will be falling practically as fast as they plow it away.
And Governor Baker said he expects to update the Commonwealth midday tomorrow on how the power and transportation situation will impact services and businesses at the start of the work week on Monday. Massachusetts also following Rhode Island and banning tractor trailers from the highways. That restriction started at 6 o'clock this morning, runs through midnight. All road tests in Massachusetts are also canceled today.
And a heads up for those of you in southeastern Mass, the Srta bus service is suspended today. Regular service is expected to resume Monday. Srta says it made that decision for the safety of customers and drivers. And a quick check of the rails this morning, just about the only way you might be able to get around. The MBTA commuter rail is running a regular weekend schedule. If you get into Boston, you'll find regular service aside from a shuttle replacement on the D branch of the Green Line. And an update from the MBTA advising you to expect significant delays on the Middleborough-Lakeville line if you are riding out in southeastern Mass.
Amtrak modifying its service because of the storm. All Acela service between Washington, D.C. and Boston canceled. Same goes for Northeast regional service between Boston and New York. That means all trains out of Providence to Boston are canceled and vice versa. There are a few cancellations tomorrow, too. 7:41 right now. Much more still to come on this special Saturday edition of Good Morning Providence. We're going to take you back outside and check in on the conditions out there. You're watching Good Morning Providence on this Saturday morning. Thanks for staying with us. We'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Just now 7:44, about 15 minutes until that travel ban goes into effect here in the state of Rhode Island. And just how much snow is already out there this morning, we'd like to hear from you. You can tweet us at ABC6. We can tell you this morning in the capital city, we are well covered. ABC6 News reporter Dominique Turner out live in the elements for us this morning in Providence. Dom, you got the latest on these snow totals, and we'd also like an update on those secondary roads this morning. How are they looking?
Yeah, Casey, so from the last time we spoke, this street here, Spruce Street on Federal Hill, was not plowed. The streets were still in a treacherous state. A plow truck just came by and plowed the street a little bit. But as for those totals, they are adding up. I know Chelsea mentioned earlier that we're expected to get at least 2 to 4 inches per hour. And the winds right now are pulling that snow, dragging it, really affecting the visibility, as you can probably see. Now, right here, I'm on Spruce Street, and it looks pretty smooth. But when you get down here, it is deep. So let's see. my dad's handy dandy tape measure getting finally put to use. Let's see if we could manage to get this in here. All right, so right now it's about 5 inches, and that is just continuing to add up. The snow is packing in, and those plows are kind of making their way through Federal Hill, clearing up these streets, but that really won't matter too much because there is that travel ban going into effect within the next 10 to 15 minutes, where all drivers, no matter where you are in Rhode Island, must not be on the roads. That ban goes into effect again at 8 o'clock this morning into the evening time. Drivers are told to stay off the roads. I know Colonel Manning with State Police mentioned that drivers who are driving will get a summons, will get fined, and McKee kind of added to that, saying that these first responders don't even have enough personnel to come out and find you on these roads if you're stuck. So the real main purpose today is to stay off those roads, stay home, stay warm, and we'll keep you updated here on ABC 6. For now, reporting live in Providence, I'm Dominique Turner, ABC 6 News.
All right, thank you. You can see the difference there with the street and the sidewalk. Wow. Well, if you look outside your window in Bristol this morning, you might see that big orange truck. Town Administrator Stephen Contenti showing off that truck on the right. It's actually a converted trash packer truck that now helps the town's public works team clean up the snow and sand the roads. And the backhoe there on the left, well, that's brand new too. That's going to be out on the roads today as well.
And now, your ABC 6 Storm Tracker weather with meteorologist Chelsea Priest.
Checking in with Dom out there, you could see just how much the wind was blowing and that snow blowing all over the place. And that's going to continue as the day goes on, knowing that it's not even 8 a.m. yet and we still have hours to go of these winter conditions, of this snow coming down so fast and so heavy in the morning hours. We haven't even gotten into the worst of the storm yet. That comes within the next couple of hours, and that lasts for a good portion of the daytime today. There are some bands already setting up. You can see in northwest Rhode Island some steadier and heavier snow showers coming down. In the Providence area, where we just saw Dom and Olivia a little while ago, some lighter snow falling. Then there's this banding, some very heavy snow falling over the Cape right now. Just came through Martha's Vineyard, and this is rotating into southeastern Mass. This is where we're looking at some of those snowfall rates coming down already 2 to 3 inches per hour, and that continues to build in as the day goes on. We've already had some 3, 4, 5+ inches of snow reported. Hearing some reports of people hearing thunder snow as that storm intensifies off the coastline and goes through rapid intensification in the coming hours. And we were just talking about a major winter event across southern New England, dropping anywhere from 1 to 2 feet across the area as the day progresses. 1.5 feet in many locations, 2 feet in many locations. Significant snow. Plus, it's blowing and drifting all around with the gusty winds, and that's going to create some drifts at your house. And we've seen it in storms past, where depending on where your house is set up and where the winds are coming in, one side of the car may have 3 or 4 feet of snow piled up, and the other side barely anything. I just looked outside a little while ago. Some areas of the parking lot have pavement, others have significant snowfall already adding up. So it truly depends how the wind is hitting your property and what you're looking at. There's other concerns as the day goes on as well. We have a high tide happening this morning. The gusty winds already picking up. We'll have splash over, we'll have coastal flooding, focusing in on eastern Mass. Same thing with the power outages. The worst of the wind happening for areas farthest to the east. There's also the factor of the type of snow. Most of us across Rhode Island and even into Fall River and the New Bedford area getting into a lighter, fluffier snow, but areas farthest to the east started as some mixing, started as some rain. It's heavier, it's wetter, it's weighing things down. So the farther east you go, the power outage potential goes up. There's already so many out on the Cape without power, which is tough when we look at these temperatures that'll be coming in through the day today, through tonight, through tomorrow. Wind chills down below 0. So it's going to be incredibly cold as we head through today. Temperatures already in the teens and low 20s inland, and where we're seeing that wetter snow, as I was just talking about, temps are still in the low to mid 30s. Now the breeze is coming in from the north-northwest. Sustained winds at 30 miles per hour in Providence right now. 28 for Newport, 41 for a sustained wind for Falmouth and for Martha's Vineyard, with those gusts coming in already in Falmouth to 60 miles per hour, 55 for the Vineyard, 41 here in Providence. It is already very windy. And again, this is just the start. We continue to see gusty winds like this through the afternoon, through the evening hours. It's not until overnight that the winds start to back down and we eventually get into some clearing conditions into tomorrow, and cold air just continues to pump in. There's that mixing I was talking about very early this morning. Since then, very heavy snowfall rates coming in. It's a heavier, wetter snow to the west, a lighter, fluffier snow. I mixed that up. up. A lighter, fluffier snow to the west, a heavier, wetter snow off to the east. This storm, again, continuing to rapidly intensify offshore, will continue to make a path towards the east of us and eventually move to the northeast of us as we head through later today. But we have hours worth of heavy snow ahead of us. If you're trying to get things cleaned up, you do a path with the shovel, the snow fills in right behind it. So we're going to continue to see those conditions like that with the heavy snow coming down through at least the middle part of the afternoon into maybe 4 or 5 o'clock before things slowly start to kind of wrap up in intensity, but still seeing some scattered snow showers this evening. It's not until overnight that we clear out completely. Blizzard warning in place until midnight. Again, by midnight, the blizzard-like conditions will be coming to an end, but right now we have an extended period of the potential for blizzard conditions through this morning, through this afternoon, before things are slowly winding down. And again, that's when the bitter cold continues to really settle in. By 11 a.m., wind chills down to 0 degrees. By early tomorrow morning, wind chills way below 0. So getting out to clean things up, make sure you bundle up. Kids are trying to get out and play in the snow. Bundle up and maybe wait until tomorrow. Really, it's so windy outside today on top of the heavy snow falling. Just stay home, stay inside through today. Guys?
Chelsea, we're in this thing right now. I mean, how bad is it? That's how bad it is. Look at the conditions out there right now. That visibility really deteriorating. This is a live look on Federal Hill near the 610 connector. We've got much more Good Morning Providence still to come. Stay with us. All right, we are approaching 8 o'clock. Welcome back to a special Saturday winter weather edition of Good Morning Providence. There are some warming shelters we'd like to tell you about that are available in Massachusetts today. We're going to highlight Fall River for you. The warming shelter there, open from 8 until 4. It'll be at Christ the Rock Assembly of God Church on Rock Street. The first step in on Durfee Street is also providing shelter for the homeless there.
And in Central Falls, Mayor Maria Rivera announcing a warming shelter will open at Ford Manor on Washington Street. That'll be open from 9 this morning until 9 tonight. masks are required. And remember, you can always call that 211 number in either Massachusetts or Rhode Island if you are looking for non-emergency help. And as you could have assumed, all state-run COVID testing and vaccination sites in Rhode Island are closed today. That includes the Sockanosset Cross Road and Rhode Island Convention Center. The CCRI Warwick site is set to reopen at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. You should get a cancellation email with further instructions if you had an appointment. And in Bristol County, Mass, New Bedford also canceled all testing and vaccine clinics today. Let's get you over to Chelsea for another check of that forecast and the latest on these conditions out there. Chelsea.
Yeah, guys, we are continuing to really get into the worst of it. Just starting to, and we know we have hours and hours ahead of us of these heavier snow bands coming in, the snow picking up, the winds picking up. We're looking at some heavier snow falling through southeastern Mass over the Cape right now. Very gusty winds and snowfall rates coming down very, very quickly. Out towards far eastern Mass, it's a heavier, wetter snow. Inland locations, northwest Rhode Island dealing with some heavier snow falling at the moment. That's a lighter, fluffier snow, so totally different consistencies depending on where you are. The lighter, fluffier snow is blowing all over the place, and that comes into play when we talk about our blizzard warning. We're talking about visibility concerns and wind concerns. Both of those combined cause blizzard. That's the criteria with the blowing and drifting snow. Wind gusts coming in for most of us 35 to 45 miles per hour already, even higher towards the Cape, with that visibility coming down to less than a mile in most locations. When all is said and done, anywhere from a foot to 2 feet of snow when we head through at the end of the day, when things finally wind down out there. And we're going to continue to see that happening as the day goes on. We have full updates for you today. Guys?
That Chelsea, a reminder too, Governor McKee's executive order banning travel in Rhode Island goes into effect in just a few minutes. It's going to start at 8 a.m., Doreen.
Yeah, that's going to do it for us for now. First, we want to thank our field crews out there dealing with those elements this morning. Meryl Sampson, our photographer, Olivia DeRocha, and Dominique Turner, our reporters. We also want to let you know that Chief Meteorologist Jeff DeNoyer is in-house here at ABC 6. He will be providing updates every half hour during your regular programming today.
And make sure to join us on abc6.com. Thanks for watching. Be safe out there, folks.
You ready?
Yeah, we should be ready.
Okay. Oh.
I'll use my thing on your car before I go.
No, you don't have to. Just get out of here.
All right?
Yeah.
All right.
I think we're going to tape this stuff. Jeff and I are going to do a Facebook Live outside probably. I'll just bring all my stuff and then just leave from there.
Do you need me to carry anything out?
No, I literally just brought one big bag, so.